Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about how I got into homeschooling. I mentioned in my last video that I was kind of like pushed into homeschooling sooner than I expected. Growing up, I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to be a homemaker. I knew that I wanted to homeschool my child. I've always had that desire. I've always known that that's something that I wanted to do. But, I was in the position where I became a single mom. I was working full time, just basically trying to make ends meet, especially here in the Bay Area. It is not cheap at all. You definitely need two incomes. And if you're a single person, you probably need to work multiple jobs. Or if you have one job, you're just working crazy hours or a whole bunch of overtime just to be able to, pay rent and your everyday expenses. So just to fast forward to, I also want to give a disclaimer about some of the things that I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm not giving any medical advice. These are my own personal beliefs and my own convictions. So whatever I mention in this video, do your own research, look it up for yourself. This is my story, this is my belief, and this is the path that I've decided to take. So I just want to give that disclaimer before I get into this video. Okay, so going back to about 2020, when we're in the middle of COVID, I was working a full-time job here in the Bay Area. And, pretty much the schools were closing. And so I began they shut down my son's school. So I guess this was kind of like my introduction into homeschooling. So it started like that. And by this time, my son was in first grade, or let me see. No, I think this was his kindergarten year. So the first time he ever goes to school, I'm experiencing this shutdown. So I'm doing it from home. I'm feeling, burdened. I'm feeling kind of stressed out, but I'm like, well, you know what? I believe had this not have happened, it wouldn't have prepared me for what I'm doing today. So I began to, like I said, it started out really difficult, but I began to get into a routine. My son began to get used to sitting at his computer for longer periods of time. And, I began to get more comfortable doing it. Not that it wasn't difficult still, but I got more comfortable doing it. And I have videos on my channel. If you go back, I'll probably put the videos, links in the description box where I talked about when I was first going through it, So yeah, so that was his kindergarten year. And then eventually the schools opened back up and, he continued to go to public school like regular. So again, he goes back to the same school. For his first grade year, we get down to, well, let me rewind. So continues going to school for his first grade year. And I did start to begin having the convictions to homeschool. But I just kept making excuses because I'm like, I'm living alone with my son. I can't afford to quit my job and just take this on full time. Like, I can't do it. And I just kept pushing it off. And then my mom began to say it as well, like, you need to consider doing homeschooling, with the shutdown and the schools opening and closing, like, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And, you need to have more control over what's being taught, because basically the different things that are being taught, you're not going to have any control because your son is in school every day, all day, and then when he comes home, you helping him with his work, but you don't, these are the first few years of his development where he's soaking in everything, and you really don't have that control over what he's learning. So you need to start thinking about that, and she was saying that she would help me through that process. And I knew that she was right, because like I said, I've always known this growing up, even before I had a child, and I had been feeling the conviction, But I was afraid, and I was like, I just can't afford to do it. That's just what it is. Like, maybe when I get married or when I get some more help, then that'll be my time then. But I just kept feeling that push and that push. So it got to the last 7 weeks of his first grade year, and I get a call from the school, and they go through his records, his immunization records, and they see that he was not up to date on his vaccinations. And they called me and they said, well, he's missing, a specific vaccination that he needs. And it wasn't the COVID one. It was just like your basic to go to school, And if he doesn't get this, he cannot return back to the campus. But we will have a nurse on campus the next day. If you want to get him caught up, he can come to school. We'll take care of it and he can continue. And I said, no. I said, he just won't be returning. And I felt strongly about it. It wasn't any, let me think about it. No, I can't do this. Like, I knew right then and there. And I kind of missed a part in the story. Maybe I should have put notes, because now I feel like I'm all over the place. But before I had received this call, so I was working full time, and like I said, the schools were shutting down, so I began doing schooling from home, which was preparing me for me permanently doing full time. I was still employed, but I was able to, a lot of people during COVID at my job were able to go on leave. You can go on leave. You didn't have to work. You could get paid, receive unemployment for a period of time if you didn't want to return back to work. So I had that option. So that's how I was able to homeschool when the schools first shut down. That was my reasoning. And so I was able to go on unemployment. And then that time period ended where they wanted us to return back to work. And I told them, I said, well, his school is still shut down. I'm not able to come back yet. And so they said, well, there's nothing we can do. We cannot save your job. And now, mind you, I have been with this company for 11 years. I was on my 11th year. Okay, I've been dedicated. I never took an extended period of time off of work. I had a legit excuse. I even provided paperwork showing that my son's school is still closed. They will be opening up soon, but they're just not open now. And they could not hold my position. And I was told that, whenever I wanted to return, I could. But when I tried to return back to my same position, it was no longer available. So yeah, that door was pretty much shut. And now looking back, I see that was definitely the Most High moving, because I would have never left on my own had I stayed. So yeah, it kind of forced me out. So I ended up resigning in September of 2020. Okay, so once I ended up resigning, my son actually was able to go back to school. So now he's continuing kindergarten, doing his first, continuing on with first grade at the same school. We get to the last 7 weeks of his first grade, and I get a call from the school. And so I told them, I said, well, can he just finish this year out like he's been going? There's only 7 weeks. He's doing well. He's excelling in his class. Like, can he just finish out this school year? Like, I was still trying to ask them, for that opportunity. And this was during the time too, when they would just can call the school and say, oh, well, I have COVID, and then they don't have to come for 2 weeks. And it's like, so basically, if I would have lied and just said, oh, he's sick, and just let him be out those weeks, he could have continued his school year. But I've been being honest. He's been doing well in class. I'm telling you guys, due to my beliefs, my religious beliefs, and from the research that I've done, these are my reasonings. Like, that wasn't good enough, and they would not even let him finish his first grade year. So I was definitely forced into it. And I know it was God, though, because like I said, my mom had been pushing me up into that point. Like, even in the middle of him in first grade, she was saying, you just need to take him out. And I just wouldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, I will do it, but just let him finish this first grade year. But I know, had I not been pushed out of my job, had I not been pushed out by the school, I wouldn't be where I am now. And during that time, it was really depressing. I felt like I was losing everything. I had lost my job, and I had to move out of my apartment. Like, I literally lost everything in order to sacrifice for my son. And I just went through like a period of depression, because I had just felt like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, Lord, but it's uncomfortable, and it just feels like everything that I've built, I've lost it. I mean, even in the midst of that, I knew I was doing the right thing, and I knew like a piece of me still felt good, because I'm like, okay, yes, I'm losing everything, but it's also showing my dedication as a mother. Like, I will go through discomfort versus just give my son the vaccine because I don't want to deal with it. And like I said, disclaimer, I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't do. All I'm saying is to research for yourself and to look at studies for yourself and the effects that it has on children. And this is just from what I've seen. And once I've seen certain videos and I've seen certain things, I just could not unsee it. And I just kept feeling that conviction. And I'm like, I'm not putting that in my son. I'm just not. And I take pride in me being uncomfortable because I want to protect my child. And that's just what it is. So I sacrificed my comfort. I sacrificed everything because I wouldn't bow down to basically what they were telling me to do. And so that's what got me into homeschooling, and that's why I'm here. And it's just crazy how everything worked out, because like I said, I always knew this is what I need to be doing, but I couldn't piece together how it would happen. And everything literally happened at once, back to back. This wasn't something that, this just happened one year and this just happened another year. No, it was literally like a ripple effect, back to back to back. And it's like, no. And like I said in my last video, I am learning that I've been just keep getting so many no's, and I know that's when I'm about to have a breakthrough, or that's when I'm being aligned or put into a position where the Most High wants me to be, because everything will be going smoothly and going great, and then suddenly I just feel like everything is no. And whenever I go through that, it positions me into where I've always seen myself younger. I've always seen what my future was going to be like, what it was going to look like. I just never knew how it was going to come together. I can never piece together how. And, a lot of times we get frustrated in those seasons, because I'm going through that right now. Well, I'm envisioning more things that I know is going to happen for me, but I can't see the how. And so I'm trying to control it and think, if I do this, or if I do that, or if I say this, or if I say that, I will be in position. But just looking back over my life, the Lord is going to have his way. Like, there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing I could have done to get me to this point. I was just forced into this pretty much. And now that I'm in the midst of it, like I said, I did a pros and cons video. If you check out my previous video that I just uploaded, there are cons, but the pros outweigh the cons. And I don't regret it. I wouldn't do anything different. I wouldn't change my decision. I do struggle sometimes with going back and forth with, him going back to a public school. But it just so happened that even in California, they changed the law to where you couldn't even use a religious reasoning as a reason for, your kid to attend public school. Because I had a legit reason. I was truly, truly convicted. I have a legit excuse. This isn't I'm living this day in and day out. It wasn't just, I'm just saying this so that my kid can go to school. No, I wholeheartedly believe this. I wholeheartedly am convicted on this. And I wholeheartedly have a peace about my decision. So the fact that even the law changed, because had the law not changed and I was able to use that to get him back into public school, I wouldn't be homeschooling right now. I would have used that and my son would probably be back in public school, because I just felt like I need to work. In my own flesh, I felt like I need to work full time. I just want to get my stuff together. But now was the right time. Now was the right time. And it also ended up being a blessing because it's like, okay, now I'm working part-time. I've redeemed that time back with my son. I had been saying in my last job, like, I don't want to work full-time anymore. I've always wanted to be a full-time content creator and do something creative. I just didn't know how to put all those things together, but I knew I didn't want to be, working full-time anymore. I'm like, I'm giving all my hours to this company, and which was another wake-up call, how easily I was let go. And I had sacrificed so much of my family time, and I dedicated so much energy and hard work for it to come to nothing. And not to but I mean, in itself, it still was a blessing. I'm not complaining. Like, my job did what they were supposed to do. I got paid for my time for being there. You know what I mean? So I came, I got my checks on time. I'm not complaining about that. And I'm thankful I had a job, but I'm just pointing out the fact that all those things that you do, you can be replaced. And that's just what it is. And your family situation or what you're going through, it really just doesn't matter. At the end of the day, business is business. And so that forced me to get out of my comfort zone because I just never would quit. I would never quit, even though I knew I'm not supposed to be here. I always knew that. And I remember people at my job and even now at my current job telling me, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. And then sometimes it's like, I'm just making ends meet. But I know deep down, I'm not supposed to be where I am. I know that I'm supposed to be doing something greater. And that's what I'm working on now. I'm working on that now. I'm trying to be more consistent on this channel. Like I said, I'm not going to say I am. I'm trying, okay? And I want to be consistent in all the other areas of my life. And I want to just practice being present and focusing on my son and just being grateful and showing gratitude every day and learning to let go, learning to trust God. Like, that's what I'm being tested on right now. Trust. I'm in such a vulnerable position where I can't even piece stuff together myself. I've done all I can do. All I can do is plant the seeds, and I'm just trusting that I will be positioned wherever I need to be positioned. I just pray every single day, like, connect me with the right people. Let me be where I need to be. And yeah, that's pretty much my testimony on how I ended up homeschooling. And like I said, pretty much to sum up this video, even though it was painful while I was going through it, man, was I going through it. And I documented videos of me going through it, but I think I'm gonna put something together later kind of showing what I was going through all those periods of time, but I'm not ready to upload those right now. But I have been documenting me going through all of these things. And like I said, I was hit hard during that time, because we all know that feeling of just working for something, building up your life to a certain point, at least to a point where you're comfortable, and you just feel like, okay, I'm almost there. And then everything just being pulled from you, your whole life just flipping upside down. And that's what happened to me. And it happened all at once in every single area of my life. I lost literally everything. And so, yeah, I'm here to talk about it. And I'm rebuilding myself up. I'm feeling better, a lot better. I still have my days where I'm weary. We have those seasons. Like I said, I'm staying consistent because I know my breakthrough is right there. I know that I'm not going through all these things at once for nothing. So, yeah, hopefully this testimony resonates with you. Maybe you've been thinking or feeling the same thing. Maybe this video is your confirmation to go ahead and make that move before you're forced to make that move. And this could be any area of your life. It doesn't have to be in homeschooling. When you are getting that push to do something, especially when you're praying about it, Lord, take control of my life. See, we pray these prayers, but when those prayers start getting answered, we don't like that feeling. We don't like the discomfort. And then we'll try to backtrack and start taking control of these things again after you've already asked, Yahweh to please help me, fix this, realign me. Those are some dangerous prayers. And I was praying those and I was meaning those prayers. And when those prayers were answered and it happened, man, was it uncomfortable. But I'm so grateful, and there's still peace in the midst of discomfort. Sometimes you can be comfortable physically, but spiritually drained, and you feeling heavy, you feeling burdened. And then there's times where you're in uncomfortable situations, but there's peace in the discomfort. And that's when you know you're aligned. You're where you need to be. So just know, sometimes when you pray those prayers, be careful. If you're telling, the Lord to remove you from the situation, know it's gonna hurt, and know that when he does it, he's gonna give you some time to do it yourself. And when you don't do it and he forces you out that situation, it hurts. So I would just say, if you feel in your heart that the Lord is leading you to do something, do it now. Because if you don't do it, it's going to get done anyways. And if anything, you're going to end up wasting time, and you're going to have to just come back to what you knew you were supposed to do anyways. And now you just rebuilding, you're just starting over. So yeah, if you're feeling a leading in any area of your life to do something, do it now. Because if God's hand is on you, he's going to complete his will in your life. So if you don't remove yourself from a situation or from a thing or from a person, he's going to do it for you, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt either way, but it hurts less if the sooner you walk in obedience than you wait till later and then you get forced to do it. So yeah, you could take me as an example. I was forced, and it is what it is. And I've learned so much from that, and hopefully this can speak to your situation too. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.